This is CG Ruthless Sports. I will be brutally honest. Ain't nothing but being brutally honest. Coming at you with another video. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome the myth, the legend, the IngravenVids. What's up, bro?
What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good, bro. Team, keep it clean. Where they can find you at, man?
You can find me the YouTube channel, Instagram, Twitter. Everything is IngravenVids. Whether you're a fan of the Ravens or not, everybody's welcome. Have some nice, fun football conversation. Cause we talk about it all on there. So y'all feel more than welcome to come through.
For sure, man. Been a big fan of your channel for a couple of years, man. You've been doing some great content. You do a lot of 32 teams in all perspective.
Appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah, so speaking of the Baltimore Ravens, how do you feel about this team going into the offseason?
I feel like they I don't feel like they've gotten better, but I don't feel like they've gotten worse. I feel like they just sort of maintain where they were at from last year, and I feel like they've made a couple of additions, but they've also had quite a bit of subtractions too. But they still got a lot of work to do. I don't think anything really major else is going to happen until the draft. Then, of course, they have the cap cuts around the league, like before training camp, sometimes after training camp. So I know they'll be looking at people from that. But I think what Ravens, I think their focus this offseason so far has been to not get worse than what they were last season, but also to just get healthy. Because everybody, they lost literally everybody last year. And I think they just, that's been the focal point. Hopefully they can do a little bit more. We'll see. But yeah, I think they just focus on getting back healthy.
Yeah, last year you guys led the league with most injuries, which was insane. But you guys overcame adversity. I think you guys won about 9 games that year, but didn't make the playoffs.
Yeah, we went 8-9 last year, and just missed the playoffs. They had a lot of close games, a whole lot of close games. Some that went their way early on in the season, then toward the end of the season, the close games didn't go their way at all. Whether they were going for a 2-point conversion or they just couldn't make one last stop or they couldn't make one last score, whatever it might be, but it didn't end up going their way. So yeah, they just missed out.
Yeah, they're just a very competitive team with Lamar Jackson and a lot of the talent you guys got. You guys are always the toughest team to compete with. But last year, you had the Bengals who just snuck up out of nowhere. Nobody didn't expect it. But did you kind of had some expectations for them before, or you just were surprised when they started off that season?
I was just I was shocked how the Bengals they really popped up out of nowhere, and they. they took care of business, well, for the most part. And they really established themselves last year. I think it all started, their big shock, it all started at the draft. When instead of taking an offensive lineman to protect the quarterback who just got hurt from a lack of protection, they ended up taking Jamar Chase. And I wasn't mad at that pick at all. If it was me in the GM's chair, I would have done the same exact thing. But I love that pick, and it made such a big difference for them. And he was an immediate impact player right away. I remember there were stories about Jamar Chase about there was a report that came out that said that something like he couldn't see the football, or he was going to have trouble catching the football because he couldn't see it, some garbage like that. And then he ended up shutting all that down. And he was able to definitely catch and see the football and make a lot happen on the field. So he was a beast. The Bengals, they overachieved, even though you look at their record, they went 10-7. But when it mattered most, they showed up. Especially like against a team like the Chiefs. I mean, they whooped my Ravens twice, but against a team like the Chiefs, being down both times by I think by 21 both times and coming back both times, once in the regular season, then once in the playoffs. Them having a turnover fest with the Titans, like Joe Burrow, he turned over a couple times, but they made Ryan Tannehill turn it over even more. And Titans were the number one seed, and they had a lot of injuries too. But Bengals went there, took care of business. So they did their thing, man. So they have established themselves as a problem in the AFC North, and just really the NFL. So they're gonna have a lot to follow up to, but it's a good position for them to be in.
Yeah, without a doubt. Yeah, I had Ace Boogie on like months ago, and he was
That's my
excited
guy,
about the season. Yeah, he's a cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I like their offense. They got 3 good receivers out on there, and then just the offensive line is all they needed to do. But this offseason, they actually did added some offensive line right there, so that's going to be a huge plus. And then looking into the Baltimore Ravens, I know a lot of it has to do with the injuries because you guys are a really good team when healthy. Your defense is well coached. You guys are like a good explosive offense at times, but you just need that real true number one receiver to complement guys like Marquise Brown. But I like that guy you guys drafted, the guy from Minnesota, that dude, what's it, Rashad Bateman. He's good. He's got potential, but he's just got to wait and see what happens. Maybe he might be the guy.
Yeah. He's looking like he's gonna be something nice. But yeah, it's just a wait and see approach with that. But I'm hoping, because I'm hoping that they still go out and get like that guy at wide receiver, just to complement the other receivers, to complement Mark Andrews, and just to make their offense that much more of a problem. Because their offense has potential to be a problem, especially when you got Lamar Jackson as quarterback. But to be that much more of a significant issue for opposing defenses, I would love for them to go get that guy at wide receiver.
Yeah, there's some in the draft that's coming off like really like interesting ones, but like there's quite a few good ones that can be like your true number ones. But when you look into the draft, there's some good guys out there. But which receivers have you checked out in the draft that stands out to you in a way, or you haven't been watching drafts?
I've been checking it out a little bit. Drake London, he's an interesting one. Because he's sort of a do-it-all kind of guy. And he's not just a receiver, he's a weapon. But George Pickens, that's somebody who I would like if the Ravens got him. Because he reminds, I always say this, he reminds me of Marcus Peters, but just on offense, just because of the attitude, just how nasty he is, and just how he would be a problem for opposing cornerbacks, because football is mostly mental. It's more mental than it is physical. And if you can get into your opponent's head mentally and you can mess with their head mentally, then that makes it that much easier for you. And if you win the physical battle too, you're dominating at that point. So I will love if the Ravens got him, and just to put him on this Ravens offense with everything that we have already, just to make it that much more special. I wouldn't be mad at that at all, man.
Yeah, I guess those are pretty intriguing options. Like Drake London is a guy from USC he's a possession type receiver, but he can do it all, like you said. And then you got a guy like you were just saying, George Pickens. If not for the injuries, I think he would have been a lot drafted higher than expected, but he has the traits to be a really good receiver at the next level.
Yeah, that's true. And that's hopefully that ends up being the case, man. Because I know a lot of people thinking he's gonna be a second round pick. So yeah, draft is in about a little less than 2 weeks. So I'm glad that a lot of these questions are finally gonna get answered. But just to flip the script a little bit, we keep hearing about Trey Lance, Jimmy G, Trey Lance, Jimmy G, Trey Lance, Jimmy G. What's going on with Jimmy Garoppolo? Is he moving? Is he staying? What's going on? What's the word with him now?
Yeah, my question is as good as yours, man. It's kind of been like he's still here, but I heard last time I've heard from him, he was at Hooters, just having a little fun over there. But I don't know, like Trey Lance has been working out with Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. He's been working out with the receivers. So from what I'm hearing from reports, is saying like the team is very confident with Trey Lance, despite Jimmy Garoppolo still being here. He's going to probably be named the starter from I don't know what to believe because last season they were saying the same thing about because I guess Jed York even said it in better words that he would be fine with Jimmy G staying another year for Trey Lance to learn in some perspective, but it looks like it's leaning towards Trey Lance being the guy if Jimmy's not going to get traded or not.
Yeah, that's what I keep hearing too. That despite Jimmy G being on the roster, that Trey Lance is still gonna be the starter. So we'll see, man. We'll see. That's gonna be fun to watch, man. Cause see if
Yeah.
that how the offense operates now with a quarterback that not only can throw but he can run too. Cause that just adds another element to it. Cause we know y'all gonna have a good running game. That's Kyle Shanahan's offenses, but to add that much more to it and make it that much more powerful with somebody that can be a weapon at the quarterback position too. Yeah, that should be fun, man.
So what's your thoughts of Trey Lance, like looking into his rookie year and college perspective?
But Trey Lance, I was initially when I watched him as a rookie, I was a little bit frustrated with the way that the 49ers were using him because it reminded me of what the Ravens did with Lamar Jackson initially. And I think that was a big part of the reason why a lot of people they didn't respect Lamar Jackson because coming out of college, there was some different GMs and whatnot, or some different analysts and whatnot. He should be a wide receiver. He shouldn't play quarterback. And when the Ravens used him, what they would do, they would have Joe Flacco. He would be on these drives. Sometimes he'd be moving the ball. Other times he wouldn't, but he'd be on these drives. And then just randomly, they bring out Lamar Jackson and they'd have him do like a QB power somewhere. They'd have him run with the ball. They would have him throw it every now and then, but most of the time it was going to be Lamar Jackson running the football. And I was thinking, oh man, like it sometimes it works, sometimes it didn't, but it was like, man, they the way that they're using him is like they're just using him like as sort of a gadget guy, as just a weapon and not a quarterback. So I obviously things changed, and that was Lamar's rookie season in 2018. Obviously, a lot has changed since then. But when I forgot what game it was, but I saw the 49ers do that same thing because Jimmy G, he would be driving, and then they just bring out Trey Lance, and it's like, oh, hold up, man, why are they doing this? But as far as him, I'm hoping that hopefully for his sake and the 49ers sake, whoever's gonna be the starter is gonna be the starter. And hopefully it's not any this back and forth, this ping pong, this like flipping on and off for light switch. Like, all right, one day Trey Lance is starter. All right, next is Jimmy G. One day Trey Lance, Jimmy G. Hopefully it's just not that back and forth because that's not good for anybody. I know that's what happened with Tua, with the Dolphins, with him and Ryan Fitzpatrick. They kept doing this back forth. And when you do that, it obviously you have a veteran and you have a young quarterback, but that can do a lot of damage to your young quarterback. Not that it's irreparable damage or anything like that, but if you it's like, all right, we're confident in you. And then if they mess up, all right, we're not confident in you anymore. So hopefully if Trey Lance is going to be the guy, then they let him be the guy. And he doesn't have to look over his shoulder like, oh man, Jimmy G's coming. Or if Jimmy G is still going to be the guy, then let him be the guy. I just hope that whatever 49ers do, they stick with their decision and they just follow through with it.
Yeah, that's what I'm concerned about because, like, if they're going to have him be the starter, then let him be the starter. But if you're just going to keep mixing up feelings with him, that's just not going to bowl well. And then you got a lot of the locker room dividing after this because the more Jimmy stays, the more it can be a problem. But, hey, speaking of this, do you guys pick at the 14 pick or what?
That is a tricky one, man, because they already have 10 picks. They love trading back and getting more picks. I think they will. I think they will.
Okay.
And I think it's a possibility too that they may even whether they trade back into late in the first or they trade up higher in the second, even though they got the 14th overall pick in the second too. But so that's pretty high. But yeah, I think they'll stay at 14.
So who would you rather get? Like if you had to choose these three options right here.
Okay.
Curtis Lloyd and then Jordan Davis.
You said who was the first one?
The first one is the guy from Purdue. I don't know how you say his name, Carr Laptis, and then
Oh,
Devin.
Loftus, I think something like that. The pass rush,
Yeah, and then Devin Lloyd's that linebacker from
the
Utah, and
linebacker,
then he just put the guy from Georgia.
and Jordan Davis. Probably Jordan Davis. Because with the Ravens, they they've been lacking that presence in the middle, and he's not a Aaron Donald or anything like that. But the attention that he would command as a interior defensive lineman, that would do wonders for everybody on defense and literally make everybody's job that much easier. The linebackers, they'd be able to rush through the gaps more free. The pass rushers, they would have more one-on-one matchups. The cornerbacks, the pass rush would benefit so well from his presence, that the cornerbacks would have less time to be on those islands. So I would go with Jordan Davis.
Yeah, he's one of the best interior defensive tackles in the draft coming out of
Yeah.
Georgia. So that wouldn't be a bad choice. I mean, what is the Ravens' biggest needs going into the draft that has not been addressed?
Hmm. Um. Probably depth at cornerback. Um. Probably depth at cornerback. It could get some more youth and quality youth along the offensive line. Um. Just more playmakers on both sides of the ball, really. But specific positions, quality youth on the offensive line and depth at cornerback, and even an interior defensive lineman, because the quality of the interior defensive line it's been struggling a bit. They haven't had that guy to just bring that consistent pressure like that. So that's what I would say.
Okay. Yeah, that seems like some needs right there for Ravens. But then speaking of one of your guys' signings, you guys got the guy Marcus Williams from the Saints. How was that? How did you feel about that signing?
I like the move. And the reason I like the move is because the Ravens, they stepped out of their comfort zone because they spent a lot of money on not only just on a free agent, not only on just an outside free agent, but they spent a lot of money on a young up and coming player who's entering his prime. That's something that they typically do not do at all. So it was a good surprise when they actually did that, because with the Ravens, that was a position where they had a lot of question marks last year. They had Deshaun Elliott for the past couple of years, but he's had a lot of injury problems throughout his career. He's only been in the league for 4 years, and 3 of those 4 years they ended on injury reserve, and it's been all different injuries too. So with Marcus Williams, he's been healthy. He's able to cover a lot of ground, which the Ravens certainly need, because last year there were so many busted plays by the Ravens. They had a lot of busted plays. Guys just running wide open, guys not knowing their assignments, and guys are just running free. And it happened a lot, like a whole lot. So hopefully he can show up that back end of the defense and just give them consistency. He in front of him, he'll have and hopefully everybody will be healthy. Marlon Humphrey, Marcus Peters, so that should help him out a lot. Chuck Clark will be the other safety, and he's decent too. So yeah, he'll just hopefully he just gives the Ravens that consistency at the safety position. It just gives them a playmaker too. So I'm looking forward to Marcus Williams.
Yeah, he's one of those guys from the Saints that was up and coming ball hawker. He was consistent for them, and you guys signed him on a pretty good deal. I thought, man, usually Ravens don't go as big as some people on the team. Like it's usually like they approach like you got to prove it or just get out of here.
Exactly. That's exactly what they do. That's why I was so shocked when they signed him and we found out the details of the deals. Like, oh, okay, I like it though.
Yeah, I mean, I get it. You guys are a proven team. You guys have actually built a team for consistently, but you guys always want to get the right players and make sure they're worth every bit of the money. So I get that that's the approach that the Niners are doing too, but it depends on how you get the guys to come here. So the way the Baltimore Ravens do it, because John Harbaugh's been here for a while and he's been here for a long time, he can get players to come here because they respect them.
Yeah. I think so. But that's where it's tricky, because the respect, it only goes so far. Because if they look at the numbers and whatnot, they look at what your offenses have done, what your defenses have done. I think defense certainly that respect is certainly there. I mean, players and coaches, they everybody respects Harbaugh, but I think offensively it will be harder to get running backs. I feel like they'll be able to get anybody they want at running back. Offensive line, same thing. But as far as wide receiver, I think that's where it'll get a lot trickier because the Ravens, as far as their wide receivers, that's when the numbers have been taking quite a dip. So that's why I feel like the respect would only get you so far when it will come to getting like a proven wide receiver, a guy who was still in his prime. That would make it a lot harder.
It would. So you're talking about like options like DK Metcalf and Deebo Samuel in the mix, because I just saw your recent video where you're talking about at one point you weren't okay with the idea with Deebo Samuel, but then it changed your mind. Can you explain to the audience what made you convinced to maybe get Deebo Samuel?
Because of the impact that it could have on the team and on the offense, both on and off the field. With Deebo Samuel, we know that he's just a playmaker. He's not just wide receiver, not a running back. He's just a playmaker. He's a baller. But with Deebo Samuel, initially when the whole report started coming out about he's unhappy, he wanted to get his bread. I'm like, okay, cool. And if that it could possibly be traded, we had some people sending some questions about it. I was like, no, I wouldn't want them to do it because with the Ravens, I just feel like he wouldn't be used to his maximum potential on the Ravens, and that they would sort of overthink and overcomplicate Deebo Samuel if he was a Baltimore Raven. But then I was on one of those Twitter spaces and somebody was explaining like, okay, well, if they did add a Deebo Samuel, that would be the Ravens making a significant investment into acquiring another playmaker on offense. And with that investment, they would need to see results. So if they saw the results, then hey, great. That would be amazing. Add that to the Ravens offense. Great job. But if they didn't see the results, then that would probably push Ravens' current offensive coordinator and 49ers' former offensive coordinator, Greg Roman, that will push him out the door. And I think that's the direction that the Ravens are heading in, regardless if they add a Deebo or not. I think this is going to be Greg Roman's last year. But because I think this is going to be the year where it's just like, all right, no excuses. And then on top of that, because last year they brought in two wide receiver coaches, wide receiver coach and somebody they hired as a passing game specialist, that being Keith Williams and T. Martin. And those were areas that were Greg Roman's weakness. So you don't bring in guys who specialize in an area of weakness of a coach. You don't bring on those type of guys for nothing. So I could see them moving on from Greg Roman. If he lasts the whole year, all right, cool. But I think this will be his last year. But if they would acquire Deebo and Greg Roman was using them effectively, all right, great. But if he wasn't using them effectively, I think the Ravens would probably be forced to move on during the season from Greg Roman. So that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing either. So that's why that really changed my tune to the possibility, just the thought of them bringing in a Deebo Samuel. I don't think it's going to happen. I wouldn't be mad if it happened, but I don't think it's going to happen. I just don't see the Ravens. I just don't see them trading for a receiver of significant value. I would love for them to do it, but I don't see them doing it.
Yeah, realistically, I don't know. That's not the way the Ravens would approach anyways. And you would have to fit exactly to the scheme of what Greg Roman does. But if you want to get something like a Deebo Samuel, you might have to wait until the draft. Maybe a guy like Traylon Burks from Arkansas. He's got the skill set. Jalen Tolbert's another guy. I'm hearing, and then Christian Watson's another exciting guy you can definitely use on your offense. Maybe he puts your offense to the next level.
Yeah. And he's tall and he got some real good speed too. A little bit raw, but he would have some good wide receiver coaches that could really help him develop. Who that, Hamp?
Yeah, there's a lot of
I ain't even been seeing the comments. What they say? I think he's happy with the Niners, but he also wants to get paid and maybe asking north of 70 mil. Two things can't be the same.
I mean, Deebo deserves his pay, but the problem is we got Jimmy Garoppolo until we get rid of him, then maybe we can get something done. But it's kind of like at the moment. So maybe on draft day, the Niners might be able to find some suitors for Jimmy. And then maybe we get that $25 million and maybe we have a talk with Deebo. And then we say, hey, Deebo, we got your money. Let's go sign the deal, get it done with so we don't get no distractions.
Yeah. Hey, yeah, you never know. These things, they always got a funny way of working themselves out. Because yeah, apparently what is DK, Debo, Scary Terry, and AJ Brown. That's the other one.
Yeah,
So
those are the ones.
it's gonna be fun, man. It's gonna be fun to see how everything either comes together or falls apart, man. So it should be good. So hopefully hopefully he don't get on the train with all these receivers being unhappy, because that would be scary. So we'll see, man.
So, what's your thoughts of Hollywood Brown as a receiver for the Ravens? I know there's been like up and down seasons, but as a fan, how do you feel about him?
I like Hollywood. I feel like he would be even better in a more pass happy offense. But for him to be able to have the success that he's had in a run first team and in a run second team and a run third team, that says a lot about him. He definitely got to improve his hand, the consistency of his hands. He does struggle with drops sometimes, as we know. But Hollywood has continued to improve every single year for the Ravens. He's shown growth every single year for the Ravens. I think sometimes one of Hollywood's biggest issues, in my opinion, may be sometimes just overthinking stuff, overthinking what's going on during the play. Because there'll be times when he may catch a pass and he may like slide down or go down to the ground, and he may have had some more open field in front of him, but I know he just really wants to preserve his body. Sometimes he may think about sort of turning up field before he actually comes down with the ball all the way, because there will be times when you'll see Hollywood and a pass that he'll drop, his head won't even be like facing the ball. His hands will, but his head won't. So it's like he's not fully concentrated on making a catch before he's trying to make that the play after the catch. But Hollywood, I think, he's been, like I said, he's been doing good, especially as a receiver on the Ravens team. So I just imagine him somewhere else. I think he could do just so much better, and I think his true potential would be unlocked, because Ravens they don't have the history as far as the development of their wide receivers. But Hollywood has been probably the best receiver that they've both drafted and developed together. So he's on his way. It's going to be interesting to see what happens with the Ravens and him as far as a contract. This is the offseason where they have to make the decision on picking up his 5th-year option. Ravens GM Eric DeCosta, about a month and change ago, he said that they were going to pick up the 5th-year option, but I cautioned people, told him, like, wait, he did say it, but it's not official till it's official. So they could pick up the 5th-year option. They could decline the 5th-year option. They could sign him to a contract extension now. So they got options, or maybe they decline it and he just ends up walking. I hope that doesn't happen. I don't think it would be wise if that happened, but we'll see, man, because it is a very crazy business, as you all know. It's a wild business, and anything could go down at any second. But with Hollywood, the Ravens are definitely better with Hollywood than without.
Yeah, because of his speed, he puts a top on the defense, and he makes the defense get honest, and it does open opportunities for guys like Bateman to step in and other receivers.
Right.
Oh, here's a hot take. I don't know if this is kind of a little too confident, but do you feel confident about your Ravens sweeping Pittsburgh this year, despite no Ben Roethlisberger and other stuff going on?
Well, yeah, with them not having Ben Roethlisberger, that might actually help. They have Mitch Trubisky. And Mitch Trubisky, I can't sleep on him. Initially, when the Steelers first signed him, I laughed. But I can't sleep on him, because with Mike Tomlin, similar to John Harbaugh, like while the Steelers and the Ravens, they haven't been great recently. They haven't just been these just trash, terrible teams. They have both continued to remain competitive. They're not like losers where they're going like 6-11 or 5-12, anything like that. But their teams, they're always going to keep their teams in the hunt. But so I can't sleep on the Steelers. I would love if we did sweep them. I mean, I think the last time Ravens swept them, was it 2019? I think it was 2019. And it was 2019. So hopefully they can get back to that.
Yeah, because I mean, Baltimore and Pittsburgh, it's one of the best rivalries for decades, and it's something that most people like to look at when they talk about a good division that can be a smash mouth type defense and a smash mouth running game and a good physical offense that can compete head to head. You got Ravens and Steelers, and it's kind of been one of the most interesting rivalries besides the Niners and Seahawks or Rams in general. You know.
Oh yeah, for sure, man. So yeah, we'll see. We'll see. Cause and then Browns too, with them getting Deshaun Watson, if he ends up when he ends up playing, whether it's the whole season, whether it's part of it, we'll see. But they're gonna be making some noise too. So that should be fun, man.
Oh, speaking of the Cleveland Browns, what's your thoughts of that move? I mean, do you think they kind of just upgraded more from Deshaun Watson, or you think they're going to miss out on Baker Mayfield?
No, Deshaun Watson is certainly he's definitely a much better quarterback than a Baker Mayfield. So they're definitely upgrading there. The way that they did it was, I mean, it wasn't the classiest, but NFL it's a tough business, man. So that's why you could try to put your feelings to the side, but you got to realize these are real people with real emotions too. So Baker was hurt from that. But with Deshaun Watson, yeah, he definitely does make them better. I was just surprised that the whole thing just surprised me. The fact that not only them trading for him, but them giving him 230 guaranteed. I was just shocked because it's like how are you? Maybe I mean they might obviously got a lot more insight than we do, but how do you feel comfortable giving a quarterback that much guaranteed money with all that pending stuff going on in the background? I just like that will worry me a lot. Like that will worry me a whole lot because there's just so much unknown when it comes to Deshaun Watson. It's so much unknown. Like there's nothing to be sure of at all as far as what's going to happen next. So Browns, they risking a lot, but we'll see how it works out for them.
Yeah, definitely will. But speaking of I know probably going to be too early for the season, but we can get into like a few more topics before we end on a high note. Because if we're already reaching the mark, and let's ask about your tight end, Mark Andrews. How do you feel about him as consistently one of the top 3 best tight ends in the game?
Oh yeah, he's definitely up there. This year he proved that big time. I think one of the biggest ways that he proved it was actually when Lamar Jackson wasn't playing. Because when Lamar Jackson got hurt, it was like, a lot of you would think that a lot of receivers, a lot of tight ends, a lot of people on offense, they may think, oh man, our numbers they're getting ready to go down now. We don't have our starting quarterback, and then some other offensive weapons numbers did go down. But Mark Andrews with Tyler Huntley, his numbers still stayed up. With Josh Johnson, his numbers still stayed up. So he showed that he's able to get it done with whoever there is at quarterback. And I mean, what quarterback wouldn't want to throw to Mark Andrews? He a big target, got some nice speed for a tight end. He's almost like a big wide receiver out there sometimes. But Mark Andrews is certainly a playmaker. He improved a lot this year. He did cut down a lot on the drops, which was huge. He cut down a lot on those. I mean, any drop is bad, but certainly those crucial drops, those clutch drops, he cut down on that this year big time. So that was nice to see. That was really nice to see from Mark Andrews. Just see him take that next step as one of the best tight ends in the league.
Yeah, like when it came to Baltimore's offense, he was always that go-to guy. Mm-hmm. He would get the targets. Lamar would trust him, and that's what the chemistry goes by. But seeing that the fact that when Lamar missed some time, he still was able to produce. He was consistent. He got better. Like you said, he's a big wide receiver, but this guy, he can make the catches and make it happen. Like in my opinion, he would be he's a top 3, but he can move up for sure because he's been consistent. He's kind of like in that same category as Kittle and Kelsey, if not better, or Waller, other guys. I mean, he's good.
Yeah, he's up there for sure. And this year, as long as he just maintains that consistency, he'll be right there with all of them again. So I'm looking forward to Mark Andrews.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, yep, Tommy. Yeah, the Ravens did have Josh Johnson as their quarterback for that one game. Yep, I think he had 400 yards or 300 yards passing, right?
I don't even remember. I don't want to remember anything about that game. It got so ugly. It started off close, and it started off like a little bit promising because most of us Ravens fans going into that game, we did not have high hopes at all because it was Josh Johnson versus the Bengals, I believe. But we didn't have high hopes for that game. Went in there with low expectations, and in that first drive, like they were moving the ball quickly and moving it downfield, and I was like, okay, wait a minute now. But then I think it was either the second or third drive. Josh Johnson ended up fumbling, and then that was it from there. But we couldn't be mad at him. The whole team, it was a wash, man. The whole team was hurt. They were all beat up, banged up. Then that's when COVID got involved too, because that's what kept Tyler Huntley out. They said he had like symptoms or that, so you can't play Tyler Huntley. So yeah, it was ugly, man. Let me ask you real quick, because this was the playoffs this year was super fun. Oh, the playoffs were crazy. And I found myself just very emotionally invested into these playoffs. Like, I don't know if I ever have been that emotionally invested, especially with my team not even playing. But one of the craziest games, and I felt bad for a lot of Cowboys fans because just the way that the game ended, it was that just because it's like the game ends with no closure. Well, for Cowboys fans at least, because it's not like it ended on a Hail Mary or incompletion, or it ended on an interception or a fumble. No, it ended with the clock running out with Dak Prescott doing that QB sneak. How did you feel? How was that game for you? Like the way that it went, especially the ending. How was that game for you as a 49er fan?
And the way it kind of ended, they kept keeping the clock on. The refs kept keeping the clock, and I'm like saying, when is this game going to be over? But then as soon as I found out that Dak was scrambling in the middle and he had no timeout, nothing like that, and he wasn't quick enough to spike it, and as soon as I found out that the clock was ticking 0, I was like, wow, what a crazy finish. And it just caught my attention. And then for whatever reason, my mother was a Cowboys fan. She called me on the phone and said, congratulations for beating my team. Dak blew it, whatever way, it's like, one of those moments, it caught me by surprise how it was going to end. I thought they were going to make a comeback and beat us for whatever reason.
Yeah, that's what it was looking like at the very end. But that game was just crazy, man. It was crazy, and I was like, because I was actually I was at Chipotle and I was watching the game on my phone. I was like, wow, this is really going down, because I was watching it and I was thinking, okay, well, 49ers they getting ready to win, they're gonna close it out. So I had it on my phone, but I wasn't really paying attention to it because I was driving. I was just listening to it. Then I got to Chipotle and I was thinking, okay, I'm gonna look at it and the game gonna be over. But no, Cowboys, they were looking like they were coming back, and they were getting ready to make something happen. And then it just, the way that it ended, I was like, ooh, wow, that was some pain right there for them, of course, but not for y'all. But what for you as a 49er fan, what are your expectations for y'all this season?
I just think it's more about improving with the team. Like, if we give Trey Lance the fair chance to play, I know he's going to have some ups and down seasons. And I know the expectation for him is to, at least, if he can get us to the playoffs, that's a bonus. But as far as like a lot of our fan base expecting us to make the playoffs, I don't know about playoffs yet. We got to at least get past our division. I like to take it step by step, but I feel like they did outperform my expectation, because last season I even had them like maybe about barely like 9 or 8 wins at that time, but they outperformed expectation. But when they started off 3-5 in the season, the expectation of it was like, I don't know about making the playoffs. We're pretty much in a deeper hole. It's going to be hard for us to overcome. But for whatever reason, we were able to turn it around and make the playoffs, and we came as the wild card. We were just very little close to get to the Super Bowl. The Rams were just a hungry team. They wanted revenge, and it was just one of those type of seasons where we were the Cinderella team and people didn't even have us go that further. So you can say that season was kind of like a significant accomplishment. Maybe next year we'll probably get more hungrier. Maybe this year we'll probably be more competitive. But I think the Rams and the Niners will probably be the most competitive division, like rivalry perspective.
Because y'all swept them in the regular season, right?
Yep, we did.
Yeah, they did get their revenge, man. That's crazy how that ended up happening. And it's so weird because I guess the Shanahan got something on McVay, man, because y'all usually take care of business against the Rams, because Rams would be looking like this super powerful team, But then when they play the 49ers, it's like a lot of their powers go away or something like that, man. But it is what it is, I guess, man.
For sure, man. Hey, I'm going to give you the introduction, then you can end on a high note, man, so you can give the audience some introduction, man. I'm going to put you solo, and it's on you, bro.
Oh, man. Hey, I appreciate you having me on. This was fun. Shout out to you, and appreciate you being willing to do this so last minute. If y'all want to find me, the channel is IngravenVids. It's Team Keep It Clean. So again, it's family friendly. Everybody's welcome, whether you're a 49ers fan or even a Steelers, Browns, or Bengals fan, whatever team you're a fan of is fine. But especially if you're a Ravens fan, you're extra welcome. But we have fun on there. We have fun conversations, debates. We go back and forth about different subjects when it pertains to the Ravens or just when it pertains to the NFL as a whole. So feel more than welcome to come through. You can follow on Twitter, Instagram. Everything is IngravenVids. So I appreciate you. Shout out to UCG. And yeah, this was fun, man. This was good.
Yeah, for sure, man. Appreciate it. Maybe down the road we can definitely catch on again, man. I'm a big fan of your show. I like how you do your takes on all 32 teams, even though you're a Ravens fan. Any other of my followers want to check them out, dude? This guy puts on some good content, so check him out.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thank you.
All right, bro. So we're going to end it on the high notes. As always, CG and IngravenVids is out, and see y'all later.
All right.